This was as pure exploration as you can get. No deep sea information for thousands of miles around us. And to go to such a large part of the Earth that's unexplored, that's amazing.
Since we know so little about the deep ocean, we've got to find out what's where to begin with, to find out where life exists, who's here, what depth are they at.
People should care about coral because they're sea monsters. I mean, they're awesome.
This is what a coral fight looks like. So you can see the perfect little border there, and they will sting each other and prevent them from growing.
They're not only an animal themselves, but they're a home to an ecosystem of other animals.
I see evolutionary strategies in every species, just in the way they're connected to the corals and how they've learned to be on them and hold on to them or move within them, and how they protect the corals and the corals protect them. And there's all these strategies that life uses to promote more life and ensure life continues. And we're all part of that ecosystem. We're no different, right? So to me, understanding them always comes back to understanding how we also live in our environment.
The features that a bacteria can have in the sea are so different than what we see on land, and it's a very pristine environment, and there's not many of those left on Earth, so it offers an opportunity. A lot of medical researchers who study marine bacteria are looking for different structures that can interact with our immune systems in different ways that could be beneficial.
If we don't come out and do this research, if we're not on this cruise and we don't document these organisms now, then we might not get the chance to ever see them. We have such an influence on ocean chemistry, ocean temperatures. The oceans are changing at such a continuous rate. These organisms might disappear before we get to come back here again.
Who knows how many new species we found on this trip? We won't be able to confirm that till we get back, but certainly quite a few. That just shows how special this place is and how unique it is, how different it is from any other seamount, any other ecosystem that we've seen anywhere else.
You start a trip with an empty box and a lot of hope and really no idea what you're going to find. And then dive by dive, the box starts to fill up. The ROV pilots, the scientists, everybody is working together to be able to identify samples, to collect them and bring them up safely so that we can study them and learn something about them.
You know, sometimes there's a perfect sample, but we just don't have the ability to grab it, because if we grab it, we're going to crush it or damage the sample, and we don't want to do that. That doesn't help science.
Daniel Bode got a chance to try his squishy fingers in situ, right in the deep sea.
Well done.
Awesome work. Yeah, nicely done.
There you go.
You have to be able to take an idea that a scientist has and run with it.
We got the version that we have today thanks to the feedback of the ROV pilots. That was extremely useful.
So happy to see Squishy Fingers where it is now. At the beginning of the cruise, they were innovative and exciting, and they had a long way to go. And they really got there.
It was quite a nice collaboration, actually. Both understanding what he was trying to achieve and also him to understand what the vehicle is achieving. Over the few weeks, we quite a decent build.
Thanks to the technology we have aboard, we could directly 3D print and create new actuators on the fly on the boat while we are here in the middle of the ocean, and get a new iteration of actuators for them to try out. So these fingernails really helped to go underneath and have a good grasp. That worked particularly well with the Sea Star.
The last little pieces he'd done there just made it so much easier for us to pick up the samples, in fact.
And that sample came up perfectly intact. It was very good for study. This is definitely something that would be crushed with a usual gripper.
It really makes me feel good to be able to contribute to his project, because it's going to be a piece of tooling that can be used on other ROVs and other science missions going forward.
I feel like I've learned something every dive. We've put more pieces of a puzzle together. It's been amazing seeing how things have changed with depth and with substrate.
Look at how dense it is.
When you see it really happening in the way it has so prevalently here, it's just amazing.
Is this an...
Oh my gosh, is that Madrepora?
That's Madrepora. What? This is what I've been waiting for.
And this is a scleractinian coral, a reef-forming coral, just like in shallow water, but down here at 1,300 meters.
It's just exciting to know that they're able to grow in these other parts of the globe versus places we've already found them.
I've followed sharks before, and they always seem to lead me to really cool coral habitats. Finding these mounds of coral at Arona was really spectacular, and it's something that isn't known for at least 2,000 miles around us, so this is totally unique for this part of the world.
Oh wow, yeah, it's big.
Look at all of it over here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Large habitat made by these corals, accumulating over really long periods of time. It's really spectacular and something I just dreamt that we might find while we're out here.
And then of course we get an Oreo. Wouldn't be the same.
Just like the little sprinkle on top. Thanks, Oreo. You know, setting out for this long voyage and crossing the ocean and going somewhere no one's ever been, it is really in that tradition of those grand oceanographic voyages where they were making really fundamental discoveries. And there are a lot of really fundamental things that are going to come out of this that I don't even understand yet. Let's see how the way that we're changing the entire planet affects the deep sea in an area where we're not changing it in lots of other ways. And this is the first time that we have been able to do that here in the deep sea, to know what it is that this protected area is protecting and to be able to watch it and see if it changes in the future.
So we have like a saying of PIPA that PIPA is the Kiribasis' gift to humanity. It's because it's one of those last places where it's a safe haven for fish since it's closed. And not only that, but dumbo octopuses and six-gill sharks and lots of corals that probably like 1,000 years old, and would want to keep it that way and have it stay that way for 1,000 more years to come in the future.